Good afternoon, dear speakers, dear guests, visitors of Pavilion, everyone who came today to listen. Incredible, interesting topic about green education, a fundamental part of each discussion, actually. Today on COP, as on each of COPs, we are talking a lot about our achievements. We are talking also a lot about our prioritization goals, the next steps, but this next step somebody needs to implement in life. And it's very important when we really pay And I'm very proud that a lot of Ukrainians, especially young ones, are present in Ukraine on COP also and are very involved in this process. But this process needs to be constantly, it needs to be systematic, and it needs to be improved all the time. It's not a secret that the green education, the climate education, as any education from legal point of view, come from the legal body, yes, the body who formulates actually the laws. And today with us we have for the welcoming words the parliamentary of Ukraine, Oleg Bondaren,ko the head of Committee of Environment and Natural Resources of Ukraine. Are you there? Oh, yes. Do you hear us? We are very...
Hello, dear colleagues.
Yes, we also hear you.
Svetlana, Victoria.
Yes.
Nice to see you.
So you also see us, and we see you very well and hear you very well. Mr. Can you please share the current situation of the educational system in Ukraine now? What gaps would you identify? Which direction should Ukraine go? And what we need to improve in our system? The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Dear colleagues, friends, Ukraine today stands at the intersection of two major processes: post-war recovery and the transition to a green economy. And this path is impossible without people who can think ecologically, act strategically, and understand the deep connection between nature, economy, and security. We are facing a tremendous challenge: the shortage of specialists who understand EU standards, climate policy, circular economy, waste management, and biodiversity conservation. As a result of the war, Ukraine's labor market has suffered several losses. More than 2 million people have left the workforce, and over 10,000 scientists and researchers have been forced to move abroad. This is not just a loss of human resources. It is a loss of intellectual potential that could be driving Ukraine's green transformation. The Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine and our committee have always supported and will continue to support educational and leadership initiative in the field of the environmental policy, because legislation is only the first step. The second, no less important one, is shaping a new culture of thinking. We aim to see a generation of young policymakers, managers, and entrepreneurs in Ukraine who understand that the green transition is not a trend, it is the foundation of our competitiveness, energy security, and sustainable development. We are already adopting decisions that bring Ukraine closer to the standards of the European Green Deal in areas such as industrial pollution, nature protection, climate adaptation. But without trained professionals, these laws will not work. That is why it's so important for the state, universities, business, and civil society to jointly develop a system of education for the green transformation. And here I want to emphasize: modern environmental education must be built on contemporary principles, not only on theory, but also on practice. It must develop competencies, practical skills, and the ability to make decisions and implement policy at the local level. Only through hands-on learning can we prepare professionals who will bring the green transition to life, not just in documents, but in reality. It is also crucial to highlight the role of our international partners, the European Union, UNDP, GIZ, BioFin, and the World Bank. Their support is not only financial, it is intellectual, systemic, and strategic. They help us build an environment in which a new elite is emerging, ecological, climate-minded, and professional. Today, climate is not just an environmental issue. It is a matter of security, economics, and the future of our children. If we want to leave behind a country with clean air, water, forests, and healthy cities, we must invest first and foremost in people, those who can teach, manage, create, and act. And finally, true recovery does not begin with infrastructure, but with people, with their knowledge, values, and sense of responsibility. Ukraine today is fighting not only for freedom, but also the right to be part of a green, sustainable Europe, and we are yearning the right every day through our decisions, our initiatives, and our people who are ready to build this new country. Thank you, dear colleagues.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bondarenko, for your speech and especially for support which you are providing, and which you just said that we have in Ukraine on the highest level of these initiatives that Ukraine needs so much. And it was very interesting also to hear what the directions are in the biggest need, like West management and climate, etc. I think it might be useful for the new initiatives. I believe today we are going to hear about one of them, and it will be pick up taking into account that from legal point of view, from the committee of Verkhovna Rada, you might have support as we now heard, and there is a big need in Ukraine. Thank you so much about these details. And thank you for joining to us. Stay, maybe we will have questions from audience to you, but the Q&A session will be a little bit later. Thank you so much. And now we are moving to our next panelist, Natalie Sadon, Professor of Biodiversity and Founding Director of the Nature-Based Solutions Initiative in the Department of Biology at the University of Oxford. She is also Director of the Agile Initiative, co-lead of the Biodiversity and Society Program, and Leverhulme Center for Nature Resources, and a Senior Research Fellow at Wadham College. Knowledge is, it's always about sharing. And can you, as a keynote speaker, give us some highlights that we can pick up and share in Ukraine to implement how it's going on in the UK? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, dear colleagues and friends. First of all, thank you for this opportunity. It really is an honour to be here, representing Oxford University, but also as a human being, to be supporting in any way I can. So I want to thank the Ministry of Economy, Environment and Agriculture of Ukraine, and to all partners who put this amazing initiative to life. It is an honour, as I say, to be representing the University of Oxford here in the Ukraine Pavilion, a place that really is a symbol. Exchange are among the most powerful tools we have for resilience. And this, I think, this event and the initiatives we're discussing capture this very perfectly. So just been asked to say a few things about why I think green education matters so urgently now. You know, Ukraine is rebuilding not only bridges and buildings and, of course, but institutions and values and the environment in which they sit. And education sits at the heart of culture, and it sits at the heart of that process. And so when we talk about green education, we're not speaking of awareness alone. We mean the analytical, the legal, the technical competencies that enable people to lead that transition across climate, biodiversity, genuine sustainable development, across municipalities, businesses, ministries, civil society, and so on. And in these moments of deep crisis, it is human love and human capacity that determines whether reconstruction can be transformative. And when we align education and ethics, we set a compass that points towards justice, reciprocity, and integrity. And that's actually the spirit of this whole COP, has been spirited as Muchilal, which is a global collective effort delivered with integrity, humility, and dignity. Which I think are very resonant with this particular event. So I want to just discuss a bit about the vision of the Green Academy. So it has a potential to be a flagship, globally a flagship institution, and a national and international hub for excellence in environmental governance, and sustainability leadership, and green innovation. In practice, I recognize three connected purposes. The first one, and this is all resonates with what we just heard. First is around training and capacity building, of course, equipping professionals from public servants and engineers to judges, journalists, and financiers with cutting-edge knowledge on environmental law, climate policy, sustainable management, and all grounded in real work case studies locally and around the world. The second pillar is, of course, research itself and innovation, connecting Ukraine and global universities and applied research on climate, on energy, nature restoration and protection, resilient reconstruction, and so on. Not research for, just for shelves and libraries and publications, but research for service, for co-created with local authorities and co-created with communities, community-led. Such an international framework, I think, is essential to ensure that Ukraine's recovery aligns with the EU Green Deal, the Paris Agreement, the Sustainable Development Goals, and so forth. But this is also how we embed these safeguards and rights into practice, so that climate action strengthens the integrity and the health and vitality of the ecosystems on which we rely for so much, supports livelihoods, and really does center the agency of those most affected. I think that's really important. So at Oxford, we've seen how transformative education can be when it bridges disciplines and sectors, although we're always learning in this space. Through Oxford Net Zero Initiative and through my own initiative, Nature-Based Solutions Initiative and Agile, we bring lawyers, scientists, economists, together with policymakers and practitioner makers to design net zero pathways that are nature positive, but that are also fair, that have justice and credibility and integrity at their heart. And I think that approach can inspire curricula for climate leadership here. So at the Smith School, so I am in the Department of Biology, but I'm also in geography, and particularly in the Smith School for Enterprise and Environment, so I'm also representing here today. So we do in the Smith School a lot of direct work with governments and industries all over the world to try and shape, green finance and sustainable business models, practical tools for putting and economics into environmental education. And through our Climate Leadership and Future Leaders programs that we run and that are very popular and I think very impactful, we've helped decision makers and ministries all over the world and NGOs and companies really translate that learning into accelerated action. The broader UK experience is complementary. We have the Green Jobs Task Force and the integration of sustainability competencies into national curricula, which really are showing that building a skilled workforce with agency and adaptability is really a precondition for achieving climate neutrality. And the lesson is very simple, I think, across the piece, is that when education is connected to healthy labour markets, public policy and community priorities, it drives change, not just in the knowledge itself, but in the outcomes, the social and the ecological and the economic outcomes. So what might collaboration between the Green Academy, Oxford University and partners across the UK and Europe look like? So one, it will be joint programs in environmental law and governance, developing the legal literacy to implement EU standards, to design robust safeguards, all sorts of noise in my ear, and to upload rights and uphold rights and practice. So this includes, as I mentioned, training for judges and regulators, as well as clinics for municipalities.
We have some of technical issues, Anton. Okay, we can continue.
Okay. The second pillar is around carbon markets, sustainable finance, and nature positive investments. So this involves building that analytical capacity to distinguish high integrity from high risk instruments, particularly around the carbon markets, which can be a force for good, but are so often undermine the health of the biosphere. The other areas around designing finance that rewards stewardship and well-being, not just tons of carbon, and to ensure that funding flows where it delivers people, climate, and biodiversity together. And the third key pillar of this is around climate diplomacy and literacy. This is really important, and leadership. So short, intensive academies that can bring Ukrainian public servants, civil society, and business leaders with international peers to cultivate skills of negotiation, coalition building, and ethical decision making, which can be delivered through blended formats to maximize access and continuity. But of course, these collaborations must be reciprocal, not one way. From Kiev to Oxford and from Belém around the world, we learn as we teach. And Ukraine's experience of adaptive governments, community mobilization, extraordinary rapid systems change in the face of so many challenges has much to teach all of us as we face a very, very turbulent century all over the world. And the Mutirao spirit, the collective effort for the common good that Brazil is championing here at COP, I think it's really important to keep that in mind. And I think it must resonate deeply with Ukraine's own tradition of solidarity. So let's connect these traditions in practice. It feels like this is a beautiful opportunity, an important timely opportunity to do that. We need to, I think, finishing very soon, but I just wanted to sort of expand that a little bit. Aligning climate and nature with justice is so important. If there's no lasting decarbonization, if it undermines rights and it undermines ecosystems, which is why we have to think about the ecosystem context. And I know next week there's going to be another event here in which we think about ecosystems, what's happening to ecosystems in Ukraine, and how we can all work together to address that issue. We need to move from pilots to pathways to create curricula and credentialing the governments and employers to recognize so that learning translates into careers, long-term healthy careers in institutions. And then thirdly, it's around measuring what matters, tracking not only credits and kilowatts, but also restored wetlands, healthy rivers, safer cities, and so on, good jobs, public trust. So let me end now with where I began, the work of rebuilding. Rebuilding a country requires rebuilding its intellectual infrastructure, its educators, public servants, and the Green Academy represents precisely that. It would seem investment in human capability and institutional integrity. It's also a message to the world that even amid adversity, Ukraine is choosing to rebuild a better, smarter, and greener future. And I think education is one of the most durable forms of climate action we can have, because it changes not only what we build, but how we think, not only the projects we deliver, but the relationships we cultivate with each other, with the living world that sustains us. If we can connect knowledge and ethics, science and society, and ambition with accountability, then from this pavilion in Belém with Ukraine, we can help shape a decade for nature, climate, and equity. A decade not shaped by extraction and war, but by co-stewardship, by partnership, not by short-term fixes, but by long-term flourishing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Sheldon. And I must say that it was very impressive how you identify the key pillars, the key messages which you deliver to Ukraine, and on concrete examples you just show how possible we can make this collaboration from Ukrainian side without any actually borders. It was very also touchable, I think, and for Ukraine it's very important to hear about environmental justice, which you also mentioned in your speech, because exactly about this we're gonna have the side event on the climate damage, which also we'll talk about climate justice. And I think for all Ukrainian, take into account in which conditions our ecosystems are due to the horrible Russian war, full-scale war. This topic must be also one of the educational program in regards of current situation. Thank you so much. Okay, and now I would like to pass the floor to Victoria Kireva, former Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Environmental Protection and Natural Resources of Ukraine, who will share the vision of the initiative Green Academy, Leadership for Ukraine's Green Recovery, which actually I hope will take all the ideas which we will hear today and can imply in life all the also messages from our international partners of the professionals, of growing professionals to rebuild Ukraine. Victoria, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Pani Natalie, Oleg Volodymyrovich, and I speak Ukrainian. Excuse me.
Yes.
Yes. Вітаю всіх. В першу чергу, давайте ми сьогодні проговоримо не про академію, не про інституцію, а про людський потенціал.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, let's talk today not about the format, the economy, but first of all about human capacity, potential.
Ми сьогодні будемо з вами говорити за людей, які будуть відновлювати Україну, які стануть саме зеленим майбутнім для України.
We are talking today about people who will rebuild Ukraine, who will be a green future of Ukraine.
Next slide. Відновлення України – це не лише будівництво доріг, мостів, будівель. Відновлення України – це відновлення людського капіталу.
Recovery of Ukraine, it's not only about infrastructure, it's not only about bridges and roads and buildings, it's about human capital.
Це відбудова мислення, це відбудова довіри, освіти і нових цінностей.
We are building a new values, education, we're building trust.
І кожне рішення, яке буде ухвалювати Україна, вже сьогодні повинен відповідати цілям Паризької угоди, відповідати зеленому європейській зеленій угоді та іншим зеленим та кліматично позитивним принципам.
And each decision that Ukraine takes today already should be in line with the Green Deal, with Paris Agreement and all other green international initiatives.
І давайте сьогодні ми задамо собі питання, а чи знаємо ми, хто це буде робити?
And let's ask frankly ourselves, do we know who is gonna do it all?
Напевно, по кліматичній політиці сьогодні всі зібралися в цьому приміщенні.
I suppose everyone who is here is very close to climate policy.
Наступне. На сьогодні в зв'язку з війною ми втратили потенціал і близько 40% спеціалістів вже не працюють в Україні.
Because of the war, we lost a big also human capital, and near 4% of civil servants are not working anymore in Ukraine.
Частина поїхала за кордон, а частина охороняє наші кордони.
Part of them left the country to try to find better future, and part of them are protecting us on the front line.
Ми з вами втратили інституційну спроможність, ми з вами втратили інституційну пам'ять.
We lost in Ukraine institutional capacity, and we lost institutional memory.
І майже кожен рік, коли Україна приїжджає на переговори, так як зараз ми знаходимося в Зелені, ми все розпочинаємо з нуля.
And every year when we come to negotiation process, also in COP and in other conferences, it's very often we have to start every year the same.
Наступний слайд. Ми маємо найнижчий рівень з зеленої освітньої програми в наших університетах.
We have the lowest level of educational programs in our universities.
Менше 1% студентів обирають екологію як професію.
According to statistics, less than 1% choose of the students choose environment as the main profession to study, to learn.
Це означає, що сьогодні університети готові людей, які навіть не розуміють, що таке ESG, CBAM, MRV та інші кліматичні політики.
What does it mean? Probably that most of people who are finishing university might not even know what is it MRV, CBAM, and others climate-related words.
У мене питання, як ми можемо далі рухатися вперед, коли ми не можемо покласти основу інституційну на рівні уряду, на рівні міністерств?
So I ask myself, how can we move in future, and who's gonna implement all the decisions if we can't start prepare these people now?
Наступний слайд. І саме тому у нас є рішення. Рішення – це створити Зелену академію.
That's why, in my opinion, it will be a very good solution to start now to think to create the Green Academy.
Це не просто рішення, це вклад в майбутнє України і вклад в людський потенціал.
It's not only decision; it's an input in the future of Ukraine. It's an input in the human capacity in future in Ukraine.
Зелена академія – це відповідь на кадровий голод, це наш спосіб знання, відновити пам'ять і відбудувати Україну.
This idea might be the answer how we rebuild Ukraine, how to memorize the institutional capacity and memory, and how to build the base of green Ukraine.
Наступний слайд. Зелена академія повинна поєднати в собі різні види. Зелена академія повинна поєднати в собі різні рівні освіти.
Green Academy should join in itself different levels of education.
Європейський із його системним мисленням, академічністю та повагою до природи.
European one with its approach of systematic approach, with the academic approach and the environmental protection.
Американський з його практичністю, дієвістю і сміливістю.
American approach with the practicalism, braveness and action.
Це синтез української стійкості, американського публічного лідерства.
It's a synthesis of Ukrainian resilience and American public leadership.
І ми віримо, що Green Академія стане мостом між Європою, Україною та Америкою.
And we believe that Green Academy might become a bridge between Ukraine, Europe, and USA.
Наступний слайд. Зелена академія – це не просто навчання, це створення нових рішень.
Green Academy, it's not only education, it's creation of new decisions.
Ми плануємо працювати з державою, з бізнесом та з громадами.
We are planning to work with the business, communities, and government.
І однозначно основа Зеленої академії – це повинна бути практика.
And definitely the base of Green Academy, it should be practice.
Бо знання без практики – це тільки теорія, а дія без знань – це хаос.
Because knowledge without the practice is just a theory, and theory and practice without theory it's close to chaos.
Наступний слайд. Зараз дуже коротко ми розкажемо, як воно виглядає по модулям.
We will say very shortly how it will look in modules.
Кожен, хто буде навчатися в Green Академії, спочатку повинен пройти базовий курс.
Everyone who will be the participant of Green Academy will have the base course,
який буде включати основи екології, клімату,
which includes the main things of environment protection and regulation general knowledges.
Публічне управління та роль держави в побудові політики.
Public government and the role of the government in the building of in the building of the legal base.
Кожен, хто буде навчатися, повинен розуміти основи міжнародних угод, таких як Паризька угода, Орхуська конвенція, Базельська.
Everyone who will be participant of Green Academy need to understand what is international agreements like Paris Agreement and others.
Далі учасники обирають собі курс, відповідно до якого вони хочуть далі навчатися.
And then participants can choose, having this base knowledges, which direction they want to learn more.
Пропонуємо розпочати з кліматичної політики, з промислового забруднення та регіональне зелене відновлення.
And our vision is to start from climate policy, regional policy, and industrial pollution policy.
Наступний слайд. У перший набір може потрапити 50 учасників від державних службовців, громад, бізнесу.
We expect to teach in Green Academy for the first time. It's near 50 participants.
Пропонуємо зростання рівня знань на 80% і 100% практики.
And what we propose in 80% the theory part knowledge and 100% of practice.
Пропонуємо впровадити менторів, які будуть супроводжувати всіх, хто навчається.
And one of the part will be the mentorship. So we would like to have mentors who will help the participants.
Це люди, які несуть знання, пам'ять і мають досвід в певних сферах роботи.
It's people who have knowledge, memory, and experience in a certain spheres.
Наступний слайд. Green Академія повинна створити нову культуру управління.
Green Academy is supposed to create a new culture of management.
Вона повинна навчити державу, громади відновлювати Україну за новими принципами.
It might teach the participants how to rebuild cities and Ukraine in the green way.
Зелена академія повинна показати на практиці, що ми не тільки беремо на себе зобов'язання досягнути кліматичної нейтральності до 50-го року, а що ми можемо це зробити на рішення.
And it should show that we can achieve our neutrality 2050. Not only
Зелена академія повинна виростити лідерів, які будуть працювати не тільки на державній службі, а можуть працювати в бізнесі, а також в політиці.
The Green Academy is supposed to teach professionals not only for government sector, but also from political perspective and for industry, for businesses.
На сьогодні ми маємо підтримку Верховної Ради та інших міністерств, які вже сьогодні говорять, що немає кадрів.
Today we already heard about the support of Verkhovna Rada, but we also have already the current list of needs from the ministries.
Наступний слайд. Ми дуже втратили багато, насправді. Ми втратили час, ми втратили інституції, але ми можемо це відновити.
A lot is lost already. We lost time, we lost institutions, but we can build now this all again.
Зелена академія – це вклад в людей, в Україну та в її відбудову.
Green Academy, it's input in people, it's input in green recovery and in Ukraine.
Разом ми зробимо Україну зеленою і покажемо, що ми можемо працювати не тільки створюючи закони, а й впроваджувати їх в практиці.
Today we can work together and show that we can not only write nice laws, but also to implement them.
Я хочу подякувати сьогодні всім присутнім, тому що ви вже є частиною цієї міні-реформи, частиною ініціативи, з якою ми будемо рухатися далі і її впроваджувати на практиці.
And I would like to thank everyone today here because you are already the part of this mini reform and of this stream, and I hope that we can continue cooperate together.
Дякую.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Victoria, for such inspired idea and so detailed with numbers and vision and how you're gonna do this new project, which is definitely Ukraine needs now a lot. But we are moving forward, and I would like to give the floor to Mr. Alex Kornelл, the president of elected officials to protect American and former Marine veteran.
Thank you, Sultana, and thank you, Victoria, for a wonderful presentation. The program that you outlined is very much in collaboration and is heartwarming to see coming out of the Public Leadership Certificate program that we run through the University of San Francisco. And one of the things I'd love to highlight is the reason why it's so important to invest in people. As the minister mentioned, it's people who will make the recovery happen, and the recovery happens through the innovation, the dedication, the talent, the creativity of the people coming together to do it. And if we don't have the right knowledge, it's not going to happen in a deliberate manner. In fact, what will happen is people fall back on their own biases, on their own experiences. So then you actually rebuild and you put programs in place that, and a lot of time unknowingly, that is not useful to the productivity of a country. And frankly, going back to people, it actually can harm the citizens and people within those countries. So I think what is really important to highlight here is how these innovative ideas can come to fashion too. During the certificate program, we've seen it happen. So the concept is very much proven. One example is we brought lawmakers from around the world, impact investors, philanthropy, NGOs, and businesses. And one of the ideas they came up with is very technical. How do you take wind turbines that have 80-meter blades, replace them with 126 meters, bring it to Ukraine where you can repower it, and reduce the cost by about 30% of the upfront development, because it's a lot cheaper to repower. Now, to do that, you need to understand the permitting, the tax credits, and the specific area. There's 500 blades available at that level. And that requires a vast knowledge between the tax structure in the United States, the structure in the Ukraine, where it's most available. And these are the types of things that people need to be educated on, that are opportunities. Because if the group hadn't come together and brainstormed out about it, we'd have never known to even have that opportunity. And that's what's inspiring that we're creating here, is the opportunity for innovation and moving Ukraine forward. So with that, we can see it happen, and other places frankly make mistakes. Because when we actually want to build an economy that is strong, we need to include battery storage and solar and distributed energy instead of just building the old way back, right? We know batteries have dropped 40% in the last year in their cost, but actually when I talk to lawmakers and policymakers, very few are aware of that, right? So this is why it's so important to be educating those who have the influence with the decision makers to say, okay, actually, you know, distributed solar and batteries are actually the cheapest, fastest form and most resilient form of energy available right now that we can implement. It seems very basic, but at the same time, a lot of policymakers and those who are striving to be part of it don't get exposed to that because they're putting out fire, so to speak, immediately, right? And it's harder to forward thinking and be educated on the issues that aren't right in front of you. Another one good example is regenerative agriculture. Sometimes it takes a little bit more time to bring a forest back, to bring the soil back to its health, but the amount of water it can hold is then tremendously greater, and the carbon it can capture. So you're making an investment in the community, and we can learn from the mistakes in the US where we started to put basically all the petroleum that came from World War II. We had all this bomb making material, and then we were like, what do we do with it? Oh, let's put it in the fields and grow things, which was a huge mistake because now our productivity of our fields is going down. And we need to be able to bring regenerative agriculture practices to actually increase our economic output when it comes to agriculture. And it's doubly important in Ukraine because sadly so much of the land has been destroyed because of the war. The other side of it, and a clear one, is the security side, right? Having served in the Marine Corps and now in the Navy around the world, it's become abundantly clear how distributed clean energy with microgrids are a solution to make Ukraine and frankly every other country in the world independent from fossil fuel dictators. And the number one fossil fuel dictator in the world right now is Putin. And he's exerting that influence specifically. The amount of money that is spent on oil and gas from Russia is equivalent to the amount of money he's spending on the war over the last 10 years. Following that is health, right? It's also the connection between health, pollution, and China made this mistake. They have so much glyphosate in their soil and water. Something about a third of their groundwater is polluted beyond repair in many ways. They're having to build a pipeline from the distance of the US just to feed Beijing. These are mistakes we don't want to inadvertently make to protect our water security in Ukraine as well. And so when we protect our health, we're protecting their future. And particularly in the US, again, we can learn hundreds of thousands of people sadly die early because of the pollution that's coming from fossil fuel excursions. And one of the most innovative, amazing things about Ukraine when I was there in Kyiv is seeing how many electric vehicles there are. It's more than a lot of cities in the United States, right? And in fact, last time at the pavilion here, it was inspiring to see there was an electric vehicle charging company who, because Ukraine's just really good at innovation and technology, they were bringing it to the US to make our charging structure and infrastructure more resilient. So again, Ukraine leading the way. And then I really would love to highlight the last point Victoria made too, is being able to connect these policies across geopolitical borders. Because what that Ukraine has an amazing opportunity in a very sad way in some ways, but also in a very amazing way to lead the world and the rebuilding so that when natural disasters hit other places, because sadly it's going to continue because of climate change or wars or conflicts, we have templates that are in place. So what's coming out of the Green Academy is super exciting because what is produced could be shared with the EU, the UK, the United States, and particularly through our sister city state oblast partnership program that we run through elected officials to protect the earth and elected officials to protect America, where we bring the cities together and then they can learn from each other. And I am very much looking forward to seeing what comes out of this program, how we can learn from it as well within the United States and globally. So thank you, Victoria and Svetlana, for the opportunity to be here and looking forward to the future of the Green Academy.
Thank you so much, dear Alex, for such a high-scale vision of possibilities which might be for Ukraine initiatives, for a green recovery, for Green Academy initiative, and for this all connection actually between the sectors, which all sectors and climate change, which all leads in the end to the health and influence on the human in particular and all the humanity. I think this kind of level of international cooperation should be already put in the base of these initiatives, as we heard how much Ukraine could give to the world and share their experience. Thank you for that, for underlining that. And now I would like to present you Dr. Zhenya Kopytsa, who is Ukrainian academic with international experience, affiliated with research institution in UK, Germany, Italy, and Finland, to share her vision on the gaps now in the current situation in Ukraine. And maybe because I know that after this list of educational institutions, Evgenia probably has already some kind of integrated problems from each of them, and maybe can give us some kind of synthesis. What will be the lessons for Ukraine, what Ukraine might need, and also what gaps are now in Ukraine?
Thank you very much for a very comprehensive question. And while I was sitting here and listening to fantastic speeches and the presentation, I was like staring at this sign, at this actually sentence with a question mark, which you can see here. What kind of future are we choosing? And I think that with this question, I was waking up since I joined the environmental law department at my home university from Ukraine, in Ukraine, Yaroslav Mudry National Law University, where I did my PhD and then became an associate professor. And I was a professor of environmental law, you know, just like the most unattractive type of law back then. And it was like around 30 years ago. And I could definitely see the students' interest in civil law much more than in mine. So they were literally sitting during my classes and writing like the home task and preparing the home task for, back then, my classmate who turned into the associate professor of the civil law. And we were competing like whose students and whose subject the students would love more. But it was 13 years ago. 13 years ago, environmental law was kind of sidelined. By environmental law, I mean environmental protection. And the environmental consciousness in Ukraine back then was mainly driven by the civil society representatives, not on the higher like political level. Well, Ukraine has always been advancing a lot and being the front runner in the environmental agenda, environmental governance. In the end of the day, there was huge problems with the implementation. But it's not only the case of Ukraine. So this question, what kind of future are we choosing? This is the question that there is no question now for Ukrainians today, because I think we have already chosen our future. And that choice was made in 2014. That choice was strengthened in 2022. We have chosen the future where we as a nation is struggling and striving for our national identity, resilience, showing the incredible resilience and showing that we have a lot for the world to learn. What kind of future are you choosing? This should be the question that must be addressed to people all around the world. And we can feel the sidelining of the environmental agenda from the people sitting in Brussels or people sitting in Washington or somewhere in Beijing. Because the choice that we're making now, it's exactly what would have the possibility to give the future to our children or not. And coming back to the point about the green education, future starts now. And when we heighten the environmental consciousness of people by bringing more educational programs on the plate for the people, created and crafted them with best international experiences ever. And for this, I have to have great gratitude for the University of Oxford, with an incredible support of which I could have made a fantastic research stay and learning from the best, and for such initiatives like the Sustainable Law Development Program and Oxford Net Zero and overall the Smith School that helped like to heighten and highlight how important it is that international partners are investing in the education in Ukraine, but at the same time give possibility for these international partners to look, institutions to look at Ukraine, to look at Ukraine's experience from the different angle. So I won't take it much longer like now, because there's many things have been said and said. But coming back to my story, when 2013, I had my first class of environmental law students. Now, many of them went to work in the high-level positions. And I started meeting them and getting this feeling that back then, trying to persuade them that environmental education is important wasn't okay. So I really hope that we all being the part of this initiative, being the part of the initiatives worldwide, contributing to the educational capacity where the sustainability, green agenda, climate agenda, and preparing, like, would contribute to the preparing of the future climate leaders, but maybe even not about the future, because the future starts now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kopitsa, for your words and this amazing way you connected the pavilion idea with our today event. I wouldn't even think you can do that. It's possible to do it so on such high level. Thank you so much for that. And I would like to move forward to Tatiana Sakharuk, Director General of the UN Global Compact in Ukraine, Chair of the Council of Regional Networks of the UN General Assembly in Eastern Europe and Central Asia. And I have such a tricky question. I know that you work a lot in energy. I know that you lead this initiative program ESG 360. I know that you have very successful trainings for business and also educational programs and all kinds of, let's say, increasing knowledge of business on ESG and sustainability. Is there really need for much more of these programs or other type of programs? If there is other types, what would they be? What business is needing needs are now?
Thank you so much. Okay, it's so out now. Thank you so much for the question. Actually, the Global Compact is the biggest association of the sustainable businesses in the world. Our idea is to educate businesses and teach them to work in accordance with international standards, so with ESG standards. Last year, together with energy companies in Ukraine, we conducted a research what is needed for the energy sphere in Ukraine in terms of human capacity. And we realized that already today we have a huge gap in human capital in energy sphere. We get together with energy companies and started to think what we can do jointly. And we decided to create a course for energy profession, very basic one that would attract people to think about relocation from one profession to another. For example, if people have technological education, they can switch to energy quite quickly. Or if it is a basic profession in energy sphere, people may switch from one sphere to another. Or we can attract young generation to the energy sphere. And this year, just a month ago, we launched this course, Professional in Energy Sphere. We didn't promote it yet, but it gathered already more than 300 people who entered the platform. I know that more than 20 have already finished this course, and we realized that we even don't need to promote it. We have organic audience who are really interested in thinking about a new profession. So we hope to have our nearest results already this year, and of course we will continue next year to attract people into energy, because without energy we will not be able to recover Ukraine. And I will echo Victoria, I will echo Evgenia with the importance of education in European standards, European green standards and ESG. Also, together with our businesses, we sat together and started to think how we can improve the situation with ESG knowledges in Ukraine. And we realized that very few very small number of people in Ukraine, and how to implement that in business strategies and operations. But the demand on ESG specialists is really, really high. Like every day I have requests from different businesses asking me to suggest somebody who would be professional in ESG sphere. And unfortunately, I don't have answer for those businesses because I know all ESG specialists in Ukraine. I know them all by name because the number of those people is quite small. But if you want to be part of the European Union, if you want to go further, we definitely need to understand the rules and we definitely need to know how to work in these circumstances. That is why, together with businesses, we are working on the new course, ESG 360 School, that we are planning to launch early next year. We united more than 40 businesses and international donors in creation of the syllabus and content of this course. And this course will be complemented by the business cases, demonstrated how Ukrainian business in our current situations can already implement ESG in their day-to-day operations. If you are interested in the course or if you are interested in reviewing the modules, I invite you to collaborate. For us, it's really, really valuable to create new partnerships on the platform of COP. And thank you very much, Svetlana, Victoria, all our Ukrainian delegation for this opportunity to be here today and find partners for our future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Sakharuk. Frankly speaking, I didn't know about one I knew, but that you have several of these programs and they are in such big demand. It made me happy that this niche is already fulfilling correctly, and but also from your speech, what I understood, and from the report which you did, your research, there is still big demand and quite urgent need to grow new professionals in all this. Thank you for sharing your. I think we can make the question. Okay.
Actually, we have a video, a very short video for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Anton, if you can start it, it would be great. I just want to show you the first teaser of our course. It's very beginning. We just started making these modules technically. We have not started video with our companies, but it's coming shortly. This is just to understand how this course will look like.
When the world falls out of balance, chaos becomes the new normal. But this is the moment to act with intention. Welcome to the ESG 360 School. ESG stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance, a system of values that helps us understand how businesses shape the world. The environmental module explores how companies reduce their ecological footprint, conserve resources, and work for the future of our planet. The social module is about people and made for people. It's about equality and respect for everyone, about accessibility and equal opportunities no matter your gender, age, or experience. It's also about safe workplaces, fair conditions, education, and thriving communities. The governance module is about responsibility, transparency, and ethics in decision-making, because trust is the most valuable currency in business. At the ESG 360 School, you'll work with real-life cases, analyze business situations, and complete interactive tasks and quizzes to see how ESG principles work in practice. Step by step, module by module, your knowledge of ESG turns into real action. From chaos comes awareness, the driving force behind change. Join ESG 360, the first Ukrainian platform that makes ESG knowledge accessible to everyone.
That's actually it.
Amazing, thank you. I already want to go to learn it. Okay, I understand that we are quite boiled and we all would like to go to, I don't know, to some freezer or take a shower or something. But maybe we can have 5 minutes and pick up maybe up to 3 questions just to, and after that summarize our here discussions. 3, okay, finished. Please, you was first.
Hello, I'm with the Ukrainian delegation, but I'm actually American. So I would like to echo what Evgenia said about it's a shame to see climate sidelined in Washington. So I really admire the initiative that Ukraine is taking, as Alex said, out of a sad situation, creating an opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you so much. A representative of USA, but also from delegation of Ukraine. Okay, we are moving to the next. You were next, right? Present yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Marina Cymbaluk. I represent NGO Eco Action, one of the largest environmental NGOs in Ukraine. And first of all, I'd like to comment on the initiative. That was the first time that I heard of the Green Academy, and I'm so excited to see how it will be implemented. But I'd like just to point out how it is really necessary to do it as soon as possible. The longer we implementation between all of that, the more students that are actually, and people and students and young people that are actually interested in this topic, we will lose. Because I was one of those people that Ukraine could, but it didn't because I came back. But when I wanted to do the environmental policy program, I couldn't find anything in Ukrainian universities, nothing of like of high quality. So I needed to go and I learned environmental policy in LSE in London, and I came back. But the thing that you told also, Ms. Victoria, about ecology and how less than 1% do it, I think it's also because it's just science-based program, and we don't have something interconnected with economics, with physics, with international relations, and we really need these programs too, not just the Green Academy and in itself, but we need these courses and programs in other universities as well. So it's just an outline, but I come to my question. What is the format of the Green Academy? Is it online? Will it be held in some of the universities? And do you have the support of the most prominent universities in Ukraine in implementing and designing the modules? How do you see this?
Я спробую відповісти на питання, і відразу ви підняли дуже класну тему.
I will try to answer your question, and you raise really very important topic.
Будучи на посаді заступниці міністра і працюючи зі Світланою, ми пробували реформувати екологічну освіту на рівні університетів.
When I was performing as a deputy minister of the Ministry of Environmental Protection, we tried with me to reform the environmental educational system from the point where it would be possible.
І зустрілися з тим, що в нашій освіті стільки прогалин і проблем, що, як сказали, нам не на часі.
And we met the reality that there are so many big and small problems that we got an answer. It's not time for that.
Після того об'єднали міністерства, і на сьогодні в нас на часі економіка і впровадження освіти, стандартної освіти за європейськими стандартами.
And after the merge of the ministries, the priority is economy and implementation, and the courses in universities are according European standards and economy.
Тому Зелена академія – це буде проект, який буде підтримуватися міжнародними партнерами та супроводжуватися національними інституціями, сприяння і розвитку саме академії.
That's why the project Green Academy will be supported by international partners and will be done in cooperation with governmental institutions.
На сьогодні уряд готовий дати базу для практики і подальше працевлаштування.
For today, the government is ready to give the base, the platform for practice, and in future to give jobs.
І на друге питання, форма навчання повинна бути, ми всі розуміємо, зараз живемо в сучасному світі онлайн та, звичайно, в офлайн форматі.
And yes, we all are living in modern world, so the format should be online and offline.
І практика тільки офлайн в міністерствах, на підприємствах, в органах місцевого самоврядування.
But practice definitely should be a practice, so it should be on the ground in ministries, industries, etc.
Ну і, звичайно, найкраще за сприянням Алекса, Євгенії будуть проходити навчання чи стажування в Європі, в Америці та в інших країнах.
And in collaboration with Alex and Evgenia, the best students might have opportunity to continue in USA and in other countries.
І сьогодні мені сказали з умовою поверненням в Україну.
And as I found out today, with the condition to come back to Ukraine.
І також хочу тут відразу сказати, що Зелена академія – це також співпраця з науковцями, співпраця з університетами, і будуть заключені з меморандуми для того, щоб ми розуміли, що в нас не тільки практика, а також академічне навчання.
But definitely without scientific background, we can't move further. So we expect memorandums and close cooperation with institutions and academies. Yes, please present yourself.
Thank you, Svetlana. My name is Oleg Bondarенко, an expert on energy and climate policy and the reform support team. First of all, I would like to thank all the amazing speakers for a very interesting and informative discussion. It was really inspiring, I think. Yeah. I have a question for Evgenia. Given your many years of experience, scientific, academic, teaching experience, what are the biggest challenges in environmental education that are currently most relevant for Ukraine? What do you think about that? And how do you assess the need for the green education in Ukraine right now? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Oh, it's kind of complicated to talk about. The challenges, maybe I can bring into later on the second part of the question that I would like to share with you, if you don't mind. Because when we're talking about Ukraine's experience, it's not only the Ukraine's experience as it is. I think that the challenges in the sustainable education, they can be spotted anywhere in the world and in many of the countries, and like with regards of it's always easy to talk about challenges. It's not easy to talk about the positive things. And like, I quite like the question, because the same question was asked like Svetlana to me, just like, what are the big problems? What are the biggest the biggest problems are everywhere. It's like the institutional challenge, the lack of the capacity, is the proper financing and the distribution of the economic resources. Like when it comes to the education itself, not only the green education, it's a sustainable education as it is. But anyway, like what are the biggest challenges like in Ukraine these days? I mean, people. I mean, always the people, wherever you go, like it's the people that are there. We are talking about Ukrainian reality. We understand what are the priorities according to the Maslow pyramid, but even it is the people who can afford thinking sustainably when they are tackling the multiple crises. And this is what is happening not only in Ukraine. So now we can see the cascading effects wherever like we go all around the world. So those countries that we perceive it to be the developed country with the greatest economy, the most stable economies in the world, like they experience the same problems and they face the same challenges. And maybe here, if I can ask Natalie, you can't hear, okay. That's fine. But yes, it's just like from other international like audience, like those who are from the different countries. And thank you very much for like highlighting that this is the same happening in the United States. So the point is that it's not only us, because the crisis has come faster to us. We're on the front lines, but the other countries experience the same with a delayed effect. So the biggest challenges is just to have people trained, to have people prepared to tackle the multiple crises. And I think in Ukraine, we are already crisis managers, every single one of us, because we are living in the totally like surrealistic reality when we have the whole night missile come in, like houses like destroyed around the neighborhood, but then you wake up and go and like work 24/7, like purchasing the green and fantastic future. And last year at Ukraine's Pavilion at COP, we were showing that Ukraine has adopted the climate law, national climate law that has the obligatory targets, legally binding target by 2050 climate neutrality, what many countries didn't have. So the biggest challenges is to have political will, to have people on the ground, and to have people who understand the issue itself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Evgenia Kopitsa. So 3 questions finished, and I would like to thank everyone, our distinguished guests, speakers, everyone who was participating actively in our discussion, in the presentation of new initiatives. And I would like to give maybe a few words of summarizing of highlights which I took for myself from this discussion, starting actually from the institutional capacity need and support, which Evgenia was talking now, the need of the political support of these educational programs and environmental education in Ukraine increasing as general. I would like also to highlight the words of Mr. Bondarenko about the need of certain directions as waste management, industry, climate change, and knowledges of new standards of sustainability, and his full support for this project. Also, I would like to thank you, Professor Sheldon, about the highlighting of cross-sectoral approach on all the levels and the need of communication in the educational sphere between communities and national levels, between all kind of different sectors also, and spheres, and also of all the ages and priorities, and also about the climate diplomacy, which it is very relevant for Ukraine, who is actually now going through that period when new climate diplomacy in only formulating now in Ukraine, and also about the environmental justice. Thank you so much, ex-Deputy Minister Kiryeva, for the announcement of this new initiative, which looks very, for all of us, inspiring and in time. And about this, already detailed on this page, that it will cover 50 participants and the modules, and will contain a part of practice. We also talked today about importance of education of policymakers and people who have influence with energy, and wonderful agriculture examples from Alex. Thank you also so much for so much trust and support to Ukraine, and these concrete examples of how Ukraine can lead some processes and have what to share with. And we also hear interesting experience cases from different programs which already have been in place by Dr. Kopitsa, and actually how it can be implemented in 20 years for the policymakers in the high level position now, who very well know what is it environmental law. So thank you everyone for this discussion, for this time. I hope it's not the last initiative. We all wish good luck for the Green Academy and growing more and preparing really professional green professionals for Ukrainian rebuilding. Thank you.